All right, rock stars, welcome to another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. I'm super pumped. I say that a lot because I am. I get really excited about these podcasts, but I've got a special guest today, Stephanie Cansfield, who's been with Profit for Contractors for, 7 years. We were just talking about that, Steph, how fast time flies. And what we want to talk about today, if you're listening in to know whether or not this is a podcast that you should, keep on or turn off, here's some things that we're going to be covering off. We're going to be covering off if you've got a team and you find that your team is not passionate enough, they're not taking ownership, they're not committed. We're going to be talking about that. Okay. Steph's going to be helping us out as far as from her perspective, not my perspective, but, from a team member's perspective, how we can go about avoiding that. And this is stuff that's worked, by the way. Okay. This is all stuff that you guys can apply. We're going to talk about, if you don't, if you feel like you got bad atmosphere, there's bad atmosphere in the company right now. Maybe, you could correlate that to bad culture. Like, how do you create a great culture? What's the importance of that? And how do you go about doing it? We're going to touch on, if you feel like your business is at a glass ceiling, you feel like no matter how much time you put in, how much energy, it's just the business is not moving any further than where it's at. It's maybe even, digressing. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about how you go about leveraging your team and your people to create the best company that you can.
Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class, they call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit podcast for contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life.
I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, Steph, enough of me yapping away. Like, what do you do at Profit for Contractors? And then let's go and we'll sort of go back in time. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
So, my name's Stephanie. I've been with the company for over 7 years now. My role has certainly shifted over the years. Currently, I'm the customer success manager is my technical title. So run a department of lovely ladies who are always here supporting our members with little technical questions, logistical help. We set up new clients, and we also support the coaches. So work very closely in assisting their growth as well.
Love it. Love it. So, Steph, one of the things that's happened with you is you've been part of, we go back, it was just you and me and Liam, right? At one point, it was actually you and me and Anu even before Liam, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Further, right?
Yeah.
So, and now, the company's we're, 40 plus, team members, we're worldwide. We've got so many different products and services. So it's been an amazing, exciting journey. That being said, there's been lots of lessons learned. All right. And I think, going in the order of what we, I list as for some of the struggles you guys might be having. We hear it all the time when people come into Profit for Contractors, or even in our Facebook groups or what have you, where they're struggling with a team member or an employee where they're like, man, people just don't take ownership. They're not committed. They're not as passionate as I want them to be, and then there's a whole bunch of symptoms that come with that. They show up late, or they leave early, or you hear the infamous, they're just in the punch in, punch out type of thing.
Right.
One of the things that I think is really important, that we've done at Profit for Contractors, and we're not perfect by any means. Okay, we've definitely had our hurdles, had our scratches and bumps and along the way. But one of the things is, I really think it's important to know a team member's personal goals and sort of vision of things that they want. And one of the things I remember when you first started, very soon into you becoming part of the team is you and I were having a conversation. I was asking you about like, what are some of the things that you want to achieve? And you said, man, one of the things I want to do is be able to save up for a house. So how does learning and understanding a team member's personal goals, how does that have anything to do with, driving more passion and ownership and commitment? Can you talk to a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I remember first joining, I was quite young still. I was mid-20s when I first joined PFC. And obviously long term, you have the dreams of house and car and partners and all that stuff. So being able to kind of share a personal part of you and why you have a job and what you're looking to achieve in your personal life, I think it's important to share that with your boss and vice versa, and to actually care on a personal level. Not, there's limits, of course, but being able to share that with you and you knowing my drive and what I'm working towards in life opened up doors. Obviously, if you allow me to try new things or give assistance in other departments and develop my skills, sky's the limit. Because obviously I'm helping myself, but I'm in turn helping the company. And when you allow your employees to kind of share that side of things, you understand where they're coming from, either their struggles or their goals, aspirations. And you can kind of start to see, oh, maybe they do really well in this area, or maybe they excel in this area, or maybe they need more support in this area. So it just gives you a bigger picture. And I think it creates synergy between personal and business life, which we can't deny. I think a lot of the times we deny, you have work mode and you have life mode. Well, those blur sometimes. So you have to be a person at the end of the day and listen sometimes. So, yeah.
We never talked about this, but this is part of the podcast, right? So I'm going to ask you some questions related to this, and Steph's going to be like, we didn't talk about that before the call. But hey, that's part of the No Bullshit podcast, right? So answer as best as you can. Okay. Like, did you ever experience an employer that, you felt where they really didn't care about your personal goals? It was just about them. Maybe you haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to an extent, I would say obviously PFC goes above and beyond that.
Yeah.
And anyone else previous to kind of pales in comparison. I've been pretty fortunate over the years, but I definitely know how it feels to just wake up, clock in, clock out, and have no desire to even want to make it to the workplace. And I'm lucky to say that's why I've been here 7 years, because I get excited. I'm constantly growing and learning, and you allow me to do that, right? So I think by creating that space for your employees, you will find those passionate people stick around and continue to evolve, right?
Love it. So, somebody's listening in, an owner's listening in, the manager's listening, or, some form of a leader's listening in. They got staff members underneath them. Any last words that you would say to them where say somebody's going, I don't know how to ask them, or maybe they're hesitating to going, do I really want to know that? Like, if they're holding back on having that kind of discussion, what would be your final words on as far as the importance of getting to know your team members' personal goals?
Yeah, obviously there's different comfort levels for different people, and there's, you have to gauge the appropriateness and comfort, but and it's sometimes hard to go from a place of never talking about it to being like, let's talk about it now. So it's almost important to just have kind of those one-on-ones and those little group huddles and meetings every morning. And maybe you start by asking more simple questions that are a little more vague until you kind of get to that point. Like, for example, like, hey guys, let's start off with some wins this week. What's something you feel really good about this week in terms of your job? And then you could even switch it to be like, is there anything personal win-wise that you want to share? Or like, what are you guys doing this weekend? And get to know them a little bit more.
Small little stuff.
And then build from there. Right. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. That's great. I love it. Okay. So next one was, a lot of contractors, we hear it a lot. And the reason I'm going to probably be repeating, we hear this a lot, is I'm highlighting the ones that, so many times people come to us and they're struggling with these things and they just can't figure it out, and I talk about I talk sometimes about my recent little rant is first of all, there's the known and the spoken. So there's the things that everybody, regarding these challenges, there's the things that everybody talks about, right? Which is the known and the spoken. Then there's the known and the unspoken. Okay. So like, what we talked about today so far is like the importance of understanding people's goals and dreams and things of that nature. Like people might sort of have an inkling to that, but then there's the unknown, unspoken, and some of what we covered off is just how critical it is that people are driven, right? We forget about this. People are just so driven by wanting to be happy. I mean, it sounds really simple, right? Like, but everybody's definition of that is different. Okay, so I'm going to just finish this one off by saying I never forget having a conversation with a champion CEO one time, and they said to me, they go, "Yeah," he says, "it really pisses me off. Every Friday, a couple of the guys they go and they play hockey, and they come in, around, 8:30 or something like that." He said, so I stopped them doing that, and it really pisses me off because, the one guy quit, and the other guy, his performance has gone down, and they've got to understand that they've got to be here at 8:30, and this is the way that it is. And I said, well, let me ask you this question: how good were these guys? Like, when they were doing this, and you didn't stop them? Well, they were good. I said, well, what does that mean? Well, they came, they other than that day, they came in on time, happy, driven, and I said, what else? Would they stay late sometimes? And then as soon as I asked that question, he started to get where I was going. He's like, yeah, they actually stay late sometimes. Okay. You ever ask them to come in and work on the weekends from time to time if there's the odd time? Yeah. So what's normally happen? Well, usually they say yes. So let me get this straight. You don't want them to be coming in on Friday at 8:30. Meanwhile, you could schedule your jobs for that day. Maybe they can work a little bit later or what have you, or put in extra time throughout the week. But instead of compromising, you're doing this dictatorship thing. Meanwhile, these guys are out getting healthy, getting in shape or whatever, and it gives them energy. My point is, it doesn't always have to be the buying of the house. It could be, maybe, like you said, the small things like, what, if you ask them, hey, is there anything that you'd like to do throughout the week or things of that nature that you can't do? Yeah, I'd like to play, Friday morning hockey. Okay. So you have to be willing to compromise as well if it's supporting some of the things that your team members want to do. Right. So it's some of the small things.
Example.
Right. We talked about, or I highlighted, culture, right? So many people, onto the next topic here. How many people are listening in and they're like, man, I don't have the culture. I don't have the environment, right? That I want to have. And, they try and corral culture with these rules, like you have to do this and have to do that. And, you've been a big part of creating the culture of Profit for Contractors. I mean, we're going to talk about how you've evolved and things of that nature, but you've been a huge part of creating the culture. Why is it so important that you let your team members become part of that creation?
I mean, more eyes and brains are better than one when it comes to solving problems and coming up with new ideas and innovative ways, right? I don't have all the answers, and no one person does. So there's power in numbers in that regard. So I think I love our culture in the sense that every team meeting that we run, everyone can voice their opinions, whether that's concerns and things to improve upon, or the flip ideas and successes they've had. And that shows in the next quarter of all of our accomplishments, right? Because you're getting real-time feedback. I can't be on every coaching call. I can't be in every single meeting in every department. So it gives you these outside opinions as well, which is just incredibly powerful when you're trying to shift your business forward.
True. It's funny. I don't know why I didn't think about this sooner, but I mean, it just hit me now. Let's give an example of culture, okay? So that everybody understands what that might actually look like or maybe feel like. And I'm going to get you to describe it, okay? So I want to let everybody know we had a Christmas Zoom meeting. We also had a Halloween Zoom meeting. Can you tell the team a little? And by the way, I didn't I didn't create any of these meetings. Just
Yeah.
okay. What does that tell them a little bit about these meetings? Just these are two examples, and how that relates to letting your team create culture.
Yeah. So I think it was the HR department, some of the VA service department, and myself. We usually huddle for these big team occasional meetings, right? Halloween, Christmas. So far, they've been pretty successful because we're virtual all over the world, and allowing us to just kind of brainstorm and think of fun ways that we can connect and communicate virtually with our peers. It has been really fun. That was one thing going back a few months before we had grown so much. People were requesting more, more little huddles and just taking 5 minutes to like converse as if we were in an office together, the morning coffee, hello, because you lack that when you're virtual, especially. Yeah. So being able to do that as a team and coming up with those ideas and the little breakout room conversations and fun little like songs and stuff that we share, they're cute things. Of course, that doesn't have to be your style, but it just allows the team to feel like they are a team and not so on their own, log in, log out, right? But yeah, it's been good in that regard. So we'll continue that.
It's interesting. Sometimes in these podcasts, I don't really know to what depth I'm going to go, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. Mm-hmm. As an owner, I think one of the things, not as an owner, forget being an owner, as far as being a good leader, being a good team player, I think it's really important that you listen. Okay. And listening, and this is, for everybody listening, there's a couple of ways you can listen. Okay. You can have these huddles. You get feedback from people and be open and honest. When you say, give me your honest opinion, you have got to be willing to take somebody's honest opinion. Okay. Don't be asking for, I'm serious. Don't fucking bullshit yourself. And I'm not putting you down if you're listening in, but if you're not able to hear somebody's honest opinion, don't ask for it. Okay. Because it's not going to work out well. Okay. Maybe have somebody else ask it and they can give you feedback and, manage it or, share it, in a way that it's good, you can handle it type of thing. But anyways, where am I going with this? I remember having a call. You were on it, and I'm trying to remember if it was Jay that was on it. But anyways, maybe it was Liam or somebody. But anyways, somebody said, it's not as fun as what it used to be. I remember that. That was about a year and a half ago, and I was like, oh wow, like, yeah, you know what? You're sort of right. Okay. Now what I'm sharing here is that I wanted that solved. Okay. I didn't go to you to go, Stephanie, go solve this. I didn't go to the rest of the team. Hey, we need it. But you guys took it. You took it. The team took it. And you guys came back with like, hey, let's do a Halloween thing. And I'm going to tell everybody listening, it was amazing. Okay. We had I think it was I don't know, there's like 50 plus people on the call, all in costumes. Okay. Yeah. And we voted on who the best costume was. I'm just thinking about it. It was so much fun. I remember this is what a great idea, right? And so for yourself, anybody listening in, if you don't create a culture that's fun, and I'm not saying you have to have fun. Well, maybe I am. Let's just put it this way: if it's not a place where people are going to enjoy being, then they're not going to enjoy being there, and they're going to find another place to be, or they're going to stay where they're at and be miserable, and then. That's like and miserable, is like a virus, and it just feeds, more miserable people, right? So, make sure you let your team create the culture, okay, and help you with the culture, okay? Because going to somebody saying, here's the 10 things that's our culture, and we're all going to follow this, I'm going to tell you right now is bullshit, okay? If you get your team to get together and define it together, and as well evolve it. Well, it's going to be one of the greatest things that's going to retain people, create a happy environment, and culture is absolutely key, right? Culture is huge, right? So, yep. And I think one other thing is, I'm not saying you have to do this, but one of the biggest things I think, and I'd love your comment on this, is at Prof for Contractors, we're literally changing people's lives. Okay, so So there's purpose behind it. Okay. As a contractor, I think it's important you define your purpose, like in the sense of like in some form or fashion, helping people, helping to make something better. How important is that part of our culture that we're actually helping people for you, and do you think the rest of the team?
Yeah, I know members entering our program, some of them have aspirations of like helping out their community and going above and beyond with, their churches or whatever have you, their kids' sports teams, etc. So having that kind of in place as a powerful why and purpose, and sharing that with your team can really go the distance, right? Yeah. I don't know if that answered it. Really,
no, that's it. I mean, that's it. It's like my point on this one, and then we'll move on to the next one is, if you don't make it more than just the paycheck, then it's just the paycheck. If you don't take time to reflect, which we do at Profit Contractors, again, we're not perfect by any means, but like we share our client wins. People get excited about that. Other departments get excited. When somebody goes, wow, such and such, this they've been working with us for 6 months or whatever, and this is the first Christmas vacation they're able to shut down and have money and go. Like we all get excited about that as if it's almost us personally, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just important that for any of you contractors listening in, you guys do some amazing things. Somebody's furnace is down this winter, right? And the pipes could freeze and it could be a disaster. Like really recognize, and I think it's important that it starts with you as the owner. You're not just installing a furnace. You're not just installing insulation. You're not just building a home. You're providing something that is a lot more than just the item itself, right? And it's really important that your team understands those, the purpose beyond just the black and white service that you provide, right? Because contractors are helping people. Like it's a dying breed, right? And yet it's so critical for all of us need like the house that you're in was built by contractors. The building I'm in was built by honestly, right? So make sure you recognize your purpose and your culture. Next one is tons of businesses, not just in our space, but we hear it a lot. This is another one we hear a lot, is like, I've hit this glass ceiling. I just, no matter what I do, no matter how many hours I put in, or my team puts in, we can't get beyond where we're at today. I think one of the things is, which is a big game changer, is bringing in people that are smarter than you, being willing to let go as an owner. Even you, okay? Let's look at your evolution, right? Like, let's just quickly, do a bit of a recap. Like, where did you start off with, and what were some of the different positions that you moved into?
Right. So I was technically a marketing specialist when I first joined, and I did mostly graphics and simple little things just to get the branding down, or it started. And over the years, it kind of evolved more into like administrative customer care, tracking payments and contracts and assisting people with the technical behind the scenes things, etc. So all the way up to customer care manager. So yeah, it's been quite a journey there.
And so, in that journey, you had to let go of things. This isn't just about this podcast. It's not just it's not just me letting go of things. Like you had to bring people that were smarter than you were, or talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people are scared, especially contractors. They're scared, and I think one of the reasons they're scared is because they've let go of stuff maybe too fast, or they. And I'd like you to talk to this a bit, because you've been very successful in delegating things, also taking on things, delegating things, moving into another role and evolving and what have you. But I think they're scarred because they've let things go, and it comes back, like a boomerang, and it hurts. So let's talk a little bit about, why is it so important that you leaders, whether it's the owner or in your case, you're a leader. Why is it so important that we allow other people that maybe are smarter than us to take things over, or bring in people that can maybe do better than us? Why is that so important?
Yeah, well, just speaking personally for customer care, there's so many little tasks that I've handed over that I hardly touch anymore, and it's so that I can assist in other areas and to build up those team members as well. Like just speaking from customer care, everything from like putting together the weekend newsletters to monitoring the pod sessions. Like I'm not really involved in any of that anymore, and you can't do it all either. As you continue to grow and expand, you can't be a one-man show, even down to the departments, right? You need further team members from there. And I know those team members are developing and learning new skills as I pass those things down. And when we first started, it was a lot of trial and error, just myself and being able to create kind of processes, whether they're little recorded Loom videos or sending them to different resources to learn how to do the process and to let themselves learn it and test it and, maybe mess up once or twice, and then we can huddle and I can go over it again with them. At this point, I can say like my department is fully capable of running, 99% of the tasks that we do without me having to be there. And that is truly something contractors can do as well. Obviously, you can't do all the hats, take them off at one time.
Yep.
But getting that key member in place, admin or foreman or whatever, building them up and then continuing to develop people in the hierarchy is doable and necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like for us, one of the biggest results of that, back to my comment about a lot of people feeling that there's a glass ceiling. I think if you go with that approach, and you said something that's important. People are going to stumble. Mistakes are going to be made, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what that really does, what that's done for contractors is we don't have a glass ceiling. I think for our champion CEOs out there, we hear it a lot where, a champion CEO is delegated, quoting, or they've delegated project management or whatever those things are. And they go, or they hire like an admin person, type of thing. And they go, my life has changed, right? Like
yes.
Right. It's a complete, like, it's not just a little bit of improvement. It's like, oh my God. And in a lot of cases, the stuff that they delegated is actually getting done better. Not that they weren't doing a good job, but it's getting done better than they were. Because
you're not stretched so thin, right? That's one of the main things.
Right. And the person that you delegated to is a lot more focused in on that thing, right? So they can give it a lot more attention, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think when I look back at it, the evolution of for contractors has been almost directly proportionate to the evolution of the team. You think that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Right. So you think about that as a principle, right? If your team's not evolving, your business probably isn't evolving, right?
It all works in synergy, right?
It does. It does, doesn't it? Right? It all works like this. What do you call it? Like an ecosystem type of thing, right?
Yeah, pretty well.
So, and you look at what have been some of the results of that. Like, look at the community that you and the team have helped create, right? Look at the customer care. Like, let's be straight up, okay? Let's just be no bullshit. The customer care that we offered going back 7 years ago when you started is totally different than the customer care that we offer now. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about
that. I mean, back in the day, there wasn't officially that role. It was just kind of a shared role amongst the sales reps and the coaches and me doing kind of admin and marketing. It was kind of the shared thing. And now it's kind of being defined and everything from the communication platforms being just basically a phone number and email all the way to multiple people, Facebook Messenger, our text app, ClickUp. It's just evolved over time and become just something that I hope members find incredibly easy to find either multiple people to talk to and multiple methods to communicate via. Yeah. So It's expanded, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, along with all the products, different products and services now, right? It's not just coaching anymore. It's so many more things, right? So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. There's different options for everyone that comes in, and we chat about that and what works best for you, and depending on your goals and current situation, absolutely. And there's different people in our company to support you on those levels, right? So, yeah.
So, that's sort of the last one that we'll touch on is, it sort of relates to what we just talked about, but letting your employees evolve and become the best that they can become. Why is that so important to a business?
Again, I think it comes back to feeling like the owner will hit a glass ceiling because a lot just depends on you. And if you keep them in their little bubble and you don't have the ability to have enough of those people, you're only trickling down certain tasks. But if you can kind of allow these people to grow and expand, you can pass it down, and then you can build like I said, the hierarchy from there. And that way you can become even bigger and more innovative with the resources you bring on and the ideas that you can implement and automate and all that. So it's incredibly crucial to build people up, because that takes some of the stress off of you. Isn't that the end goal, right? Yeah. So
it's huge, right? Like, a business become the best that it can is and again directly related to how well you can let your team members become the best that they can become. Right? It's just they go hand in hand. Final one, we'll make it quick. Struggles. Every company goes through struggles. What do you think is some of the best ways for owners of a company to approach struggles with their team?
I think by being transparent and maybe not telling them every detail down to like the dollar percentage, et cetera, but being transparent as to where you're at, where you're needing to be, and the methods of getting there, sharing that with your team is valuable, because you can allow them to step in and give those ideas and support, and again, let them grow and assist you, right? Struggle shouldn't just be on one person. You get a lot farther in life when you have a community. So that's why PFC is so powerful, because we provide that support that's not, I'm just going to say, very typical in this industry, right? Even with the like online forums that you can search if you're trying to express questions or get help in other areas for contracting, it's pretty rough out there. People aren't as helpful. But in our community, we've kind of developed this space where it's safe to share those struggles, and you meet with other people that you can relate to. And it's not just coaches helping people in customer care, helping you guys, but it's members to members here as well. So I would say sharing your struggles just outside your own brain to a community and to your team, and getting them all involved, whether it's with coaching or putting them through one of our courses or what have you, that will take you so far. Absolutely.
That's huge. It's huge. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's funny. We had a call today, right? There's 4 of us on the call. Okay. One of the individuals, you had Jay on, the CEO, we had you on it, we had me on it. Then we had, one of our champion CEOs on it as well, right? Like, right. One of the clients. Yes. And I got to tell you, I'm just going to be no bullshit here. We made significant progress on that call in a very short period of time, right? Like, and I've been trying to figure it out. You and I've been trying to figure it out. We've been making some progress. I'm not saying it was the end all, the be all, but I mean, we got other people involved, and it was like, okay, like now we got a plan. And I was just like, oh my God, like this was a really good call. Like, we know what we got, and it was, I know, no offense to you and me, but it was like we made a lot of progress in a lot less time. Right. And I think, part of that is when you have a problem, it's not like, I think a lot of people, when they try to approach a problem, they only involve, like, say, one department. Okay. And what's really interesting is that, and for anybody listening in, if you're trying to solve a problem and you're not making the progress that you want, and this is what you and I did, this is actually what you did, not me. involve other departments, involve other people. Okay. Don't stay stuck. If you don't think that it's moving at the speed that it should, or, again, you can put all the effort you want. If you're starting to hit a bit of a dead end, get other people involved. And that means maybe from other departments or from, from an outside perspective, whether that's, that could be somebody raising their hand today saying, hey, you know what? I wonder if Profit Contractors can help me. Like, don't stay stuck. Okay. Because there is better solutions. Okay. And involve different people, and today was a prime example. We made significant progress, and one of the biggest reasons was because we shared our struggle, with multiple people who really want to try and help us solve it. And it really worked, right? It's right.
Different perspectives coming in can be super beneficial. Like, I think so many times we're deep in the weeds and we think we know the exact answers. So we just run with an idea, but we don't stop to consider, like, whoa, take a step back, get other perspectives from other people, and guaranteed your end result will be that much better than if it's just like 2 or 3 of you. This is the way it's going to be. And then try and get everyone involved after the fact to train them or what have you. Like, for example, having one of our members on to give their insights is something that you could do with, like, your clients. If something needs to be improved in your own company, get the feedback of your clients or get the feedback of, like you said, different departments, because sometimes you just can't see outside of your little bubble, right? So that's all I'm trying to say.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It really is huge. So many people come to Profit Contractors, and it's a nice thing to hear, and it's not a nice thing to hear when what to say. It's no big deal, but I'll hear people say, "Man, I wish this thing, whatever it is, this template, this tool, this coach, the CSMs, whatever it is, like, this has been amazing. It's changed my life. It's improved this." And then they leave with, "I wish I had done this like 10 years ago. I wish I had."
Oh, yeah. We hear that all the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think for that period of time, they were at a dead end. Like, it's not like they didn't want to still solve the problem. They just kept on approaching it the same way. And you're not going to get a different result, right? You're not going to get.
That is so true. Yeah. A lot of members struggle by being like, nothing's changing, but you're doing the same thing day in and day out. You have to change a part of the equation to get a different answer. So, and just relying on our coaches. Sometimes they bring to light things that you can't see in your own company or yourself. So I give a shout out to our coaches. You were talking about, like, the unknown, unspoken. That's something the coaches are powerful at doing, is they are that outside perspective. And they can take a look and kind of assess and audit not just your business, but your team and you as a person as well, and really highlight the areas of opportunity, right? So that's one example I wanted to throw out there.
There's so many like specific. Yeah. I'll give a couple just so you guys can relate to this. Everybody listening, like an unknown, unspoken, right? People come to us and they go, I need to hire somebody. And we go, okay. Well, how many people do you got? I got 20 people. Okay. All right. So you need to hire somebody. Yes, I can't find anybody. Okay, just a second. Let's take a step back. Do you actually need to hire somebody? Yes, I need to hire somebody. I need to hire, like, that's the answer. Yeah. That's the answer. And then you go, okay. All right. Let's take a look at how your jobs are ran. What? You're not listening to me. I told you I need to hire somebody. Yeah, just hear me out. Right. I'm now the coach. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Andrew, we're going to get back to your thing. You're going to get back to your problem here in a moment. You go, okay. Go, so how efficient are the teams running? Well, they're all over the place. They're all over the map. So now we skip ahead. Now I'm going to skip ahead. Okay. And I said, well, let's figure out how inefficient your team is. And then they go, man, we start analyzing this, and the team is really inefficient. And people don't wake up and go, how can I be as inefficient as possible? Okay. Now, all of a sudden we go, okay, instead of looking at hiring some people, what would happen if you think if we did these 5 things that you're not doing, how to pre-start a job, how to run a job, how to finish a job, if you just picked one out of each of these things, what do you think is going to be the result? And they're like, oh my God, that improved that by 10%, this by 5%, this by 5%. I said, okay. So we got a range of improving our efficiency between 20 and 30+%. Yeah, easy. And I go, so let me ask you, you increase your efficiency by 20 or 30% and you got 20 people. Do you need to hire anybody? And they go, oh shit, I don't. I go, no, if you increase by 20%, you have 20 people. You just, without hiring anybody, expanded by actually 4 people. And they're like,
yeah,
right, the unknown unspoken. Like, I never thought of it that way, right? Like,
yeah,
it's those kind of things, right? They're like, I never thought of that. So there's so
Yes.
many, I didn't think of that. Well, it's not your fault that you don't think of these things. But the thing is, it is your fault if you don't reach out to get help, to get beyond the perspective that you're looking at the problem, right? And that happens. That happens all the time. I'm not making enough profit. I'm like, okay, right. So, what are you going to do about it, right? And it's like, I guess we need to do all these different things. And then you start looking at it, and we start going, wait a second. You're $1 million contract business. We just looked at your numbers. Out of the 5 different products, the services that you offer, 2 of them are completely unprofitable. Yeah. If we got rid of those, you could make $700,000 in sales.
Yeah.
You make more profit. And they go, I didn't think about that way. Yeah. You can actually do less work, make more money, and it'd be less complicated. And they go, oh my God, I thought I had to get more sales. No, dude, you don't need to get more sales.
Yeah. More is more in a lot of people's minds. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, anyways, we can go on for another hour podcast of these different things that people, it's the unknown unspoken, right? So listen, I wanted to say, I wanted to get your last words of advice. What would be one thing that you'd want to leave contractors hearing before we wrap this up?
I think the biggest thing is, get out of your head, accept the help of others, join a community, and always be hungry to learn, because you can then pass down that knowledge to others and continue to grow from there. You will hit a ceiling as an individual. You do need the help of others. It's okay to have those struggles and to share them. And I would say PFC is such a good space to start in terms of building that trust and community and sharing those struggles and being able to relate to others, and then involving your team and developing them with our help as well. Like the sky is the limit, so long as you kind of take off the mask and are receptive to things, learning and growth. And that's what I would say on that.
Awesome. That's awesome. What I'm going to say is, like, it's been an incredible journey with you. Okay. With the whole team, but it's just been incredible. This isn't a negative thing. We talked about this before getting on this podcast. I never would have expected that you would have evolved and grown to where you're at today. And I just want to be clear of what I mean by that. It's because the things that we have today, going back 7 years ago, we didn't even think about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But because we allowed the team, you to evolve and grow and bring your ideas. This isn't really my company in the sense of how it's grown. It's the whole team's company, right? Like it's the team's ideas. It's the team's, commitment. It's all these different personalities and different ideas and different skill sets. When you can let that sort of grow, and you can give people an opportunity to evolve themselves, your business is going to grow. Don't do it alone, like Stephanie is saying. It's the hard way. And when we say doing it alone, that you could have 20 people and you're still doing it alone. You might be like, what?
Yeah.
Right? What do I mean by that?
Because you keep everything in your head. You'd rather take on the burdens day in and day out. You're not delegating beyond what you currently get structured. And it's just Groundhog Day, right?
Groundhog Day. I never thought of that. You got a team of people and you're still alone. People are like, what's that? What do you mean? No, you are. If you are doing what Stephanie's saying, you're alone because you're just in your own thoughts. And that's not going to...
You're not sharing the struggles. You're not sharing where you want to be in life and getting everyone on board to fast track you there. Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for everything that you've brought to Profit for Contractors. So many of the the logos, the models, we call them lead magnets or free tools we give out to you guys. You give a big thanks to Steph because she's been a big part of taking my gibberish and my little etch-a-sketch drawings and
we should show some of that.
These things here, right? All these images, right? All these different things. So you've just been amazing, and I look at you as like family member of a big family. Anybody listening in, you can do this. Okay, grow your business through your team, and you will never have a glass ceiling. I guarantee you. So that's that for today's No Bullshit podcast. If anybody wants to get some help, raise your hand. Join our Profitable Contractors Association if you're not in it already, which is like a complimentary group with we got 15 or 16,000 contractors in there.
Yeah.
And if you want to see if we can help you lay out a plan, in 2023, specific to you, giving you, insights like the unknown unspoken, so that you can look at things differently. Then raise your hand and get some help, whether it's through us or somebody else, but don't do it alone. And that's it. We'll see you guys on the website. Ciao.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Rockstars, thank you for watching the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. And if you're serious about growing and need help, click on the link below. Myself and my team would love to help and give you the necessary tools so you can take your contracting business to the next level. And remember, dominate, delegate, and deliver.